Hey everyone, how you doing? So, I want to talk about race or racism and kind of try and relate it to my own scenario and situation and speak from myself, but within it, you'll be able to maybe see the points I'm making. A few things need to be said up front. I would consider myself a mongrel, though we all are mongrels really. But in modern terms, modern generations, here and now, just to make it easy and to show you also that I'm just straight to it. I'm not going to start getting, all funny about words and stuff. I'm a mongrel and I accept it. I'm proud of it. Like the Mustang, that's a mongrel. It's a horse, but it's a mongrel. Or it was a mongrel until they formed the name for it and they called it Mustang. But there aren't many people with my mixture, so as it stands right now, there isn't a demograph, so there's no word or title or grouping phrase for it. So I'll just use the word mongrel for now. And like I say, I'm proud of it. It makes no difference to me. Now, I was born in 1978. And in 1978, in terms of the black population of the UK, other than in London, Liverpool, and apparently Bristol, the black population was literally 99% West Indian. Jamaican, Bajan, Kittian, St. Lucian, all them ones, right? Antiguan, all that. Trinidadian, Nevis, all of this, right? There were hardly any Africans. Of course, there were some, Rising Damp with Rigsby, that TV programme, there was an African in that, and that was in the 70s, so it's already representing a possible demograph. But like I said, that was in London, and I mentioned London and Liverpool at the beginning, right? So where I'm from in Leeds, and this includes Bradford, Huddersfield, Manchester, Nottingham, Sheffield, Birmingham, which are the main hubs, right? They were all West Indian. 96%, and okay, I'll say it fairly, 96%. So, growing up, at that time, born in 78, I was born with an African surname, a Nigerian surname. My dad's half caste, half Nigerian, half British, white, whatever. But the thing was with my dad, as with any half caste person in those days, was half caste meant black in those days, because they still copped for any of the issues. So half caste meant black. You ask any half caste person from that era, they'll tell you they were black. Daley Thompson, black. Yeah. Fatima Whitbread, black. Yeah. Colin Jackson, I think he's mixed, black. Yeah. Des Walker, black. Ruud Gullit, black. Frank Rijkaard, black. I can go on. Yeah. Now, my mum, she's like a Kardashian. She's half of a Kardashian. She's Armenian and Welsh-Irish, right? And my dad is Nigerian and British, right? Basically white, I don't know, whatever the mixture is. So from that, I've just told you now what I am. But my surname was my father's, and it was Nigerian. Now my grandma, his mum, she married twice. Her first set of kids were to my granddad, I've never met him, Nigerian guy. I think she had 5 kids to him, 1 died. And then her second marriage was to a Bajan man, and she had 3 children to him. So me, the black family of mine, they were a mixture of both of that. So for me, growing up, never seeing my dad, right? When I did see him, I was in awe of him because he's my dad. And I didn't have any males around me. I'm the only child. But my dad would always say to me, whenever he saw me, which was once every like 5 years or something, he'd say, Aaron, you are black. Don't let anyone tell you no different. You're my son. Now, given I was told that, and given for a majority of my life, I grew up in or around or near hoods, and my surname being Alesinloi, which is a Nigerian name, it kind of left me not confused, because he'd set the path for me for what I was. Plus I was tall, and in those days, you know, the black lads, I said half caste, right, as well, they were always like taller and bigger and apparently better at sports. But I was naturally good at sports. I was tall, I was fast. My hair was a bit kinkier when I was younger. And just certain things, I tanned easily. So these things, but I was still not sure. I was still not sure, right? I could feel my accent, was my voice. I don't know, there was something in my voice that was always a bit different to everyone else. But that could have been because my first years were spent in London. And then I've moved to Leeds, where I'm from originally. I was born here. I'm born in Leeds. So my accent was, but I don't know. I just was different to everyone else. Everyone had a simple name. Even the black lads or the half-caste lads, they had like English names, like, you know, whatever. Damien, Mark, Luke, you know, and the surnames like Lewis, Brown, Powell, you know, Wilson, Williams. These are very English names, yet I am called my name, which was Aaron Alesinloi. So I was confused, but I maintained. But I had no one talking to me. So I never called myself black. I never did that. I didn't even talk about anything like that. I was never even interested in it. My dad told me what he told me, and that was in, and that was it. But what I started noticing as I got older was it was always the black or half-caste lads that would start on me all the time. They were either attracted to me, either through friend or as a foe, throughout my whole life. And it was like, it came to a certain age where all of a sudden, every single half-caste or black lad that I came across wanted to fight me, or come for me, or, you know, set me up, or do some mad stuff, right? And that was at the time of hip-hop, when hip-hop came out. And I jumped on that straight away because a lot of the samples used in the music were samples that I grew up listening to. So it was just like an extension of my original music source. So this was a thing that I noticed. And I was constantly, always getting into fights, constantly getting angrier and angrier. And it was just a weird one, and I had no one to talk to about it. Some things happened to me when I was younger. I was moved around a lot before I eventually had my 4 years of settlement, which was middle school sort of time. They were the most settled times that I've had. But just merely at the beginning of middle school, I started going to my grandma's. And I'd always gone to my grandma's on and off over the years sort of thing, because they were like my only family really. And I'd be hanging around with my uncles. And to be fair with you, it was probably before middle school. Maybe I was about 10 and 11 when I started smoking weed and all that. But they were big hip-hop heads. And so I used to always thief their tapes and nick the records and stuff and take them home. And because I was a bad kleptomaniac when I was younger. My mum made me become that way. So I just was. And I was fending for myself and I was a bit feral. But I didn't see it as stealing from them. And they never ever pulled me up on it as well, you know. I must admit. They never pulled me up on it because they could have whooped me and they didn't do. They never pulled me up on teething their stuff, which I always did. I'd go to the toilet and slip into their room because they'd always be out and go through the tape box they've got and see what new cassettes they've got in there and just take one out. Yeah, I could have recorded it, but I didn't because I like the case it came with. So I'd teeth a tape and they never said out to me. I must admit, when I think back now, and I accept that. But I teethed the records as well. They never said a thing to me about it. Wow, I just realised that now. So anyway, they were half caste too. But they were like pro-black half caste, like my dad was. And so they too would tell me this about me being black. I never asked to hear them. My grandma would tell me, she was white, but she'd tell me. My aunties would tell me. So I'm like, everyone related to me is telling me. And my mum, she never said that to me. What she would say is, you're not British, you're not English, Aaron. You're not English. That's what she said to me. I don't know what that means, but you're not English. So with all that being said, I've got a surname like I've got a surname. Then you might see my point of feeling a little bit confused. So anyway, the years go by. My dad converts to Islam. Because my dad, when I was younger, I would hardly ever see him. But when I did see him, he was always on form. Fresh, suits on. Always got a story to tell. Always with money. Nice cars. He was a fly boy. Super fly. But I didn't see him for a long time. And then when I next saw him, he converted to Islam. He'd already converted to Islam years ago, but it took him like 15, 20 years to finally just like bam. And he did. And it came at the exact same time that I hit puberty, like I was 14, whatever, right? So I'm now turning into a young man. And I haven't seen him for years and that. And all I want to do is play football with my dad. I don't see him, I don't see anyone, I don't have the same life as everyone else. Everyone else seems to go on holiday or have a christening to go to, or their uncle's getting married so they're going to a stag do, and all these little words and things that I've never ever done. Never had given to me, never known. I've never had no parties. I've had 2 presents in my whole life. I've had maybe 2 or 3 years worth of cards. But that's it. So I've never had anything like everyone else has had. Now all of a sudden, when I'm wanting normality, my dad converts to Islam. So, still wanting to know my dad, because he's my dad, right? A boy wants his father. I chase after him a little bit. But he kind of like says it to me in no uncertain terms. The only way I'm going to deal with you, Aaron, is if you convert to Islam. And I didn't know what to do. Because I didn't know if I was supposed to do what he was telling me to do. In a spiritual sense of things, in a universal sense of things. He's my father after all. This mysterious man. And so I consider it. Deep down I know I'm not going to. But I like being around the camaraderie of it all. And so I go to the meets, and him and his people, they invite me to come down, and for food and to play football and just to chill out and stuff. But it would also entail talking, right? It was like a mild conversion. Some people got converted. There was a recruitment drive. A load of Muslim people from America and also London had come north to try and convert a lot of people in and around the areas. And a lot of people were converted. That's what they're trying to do with me. But my dad, being my dad, who was maybe a part of it in a way, he also tried to recruit me more. Because I'm his son, right? He wanted me to go and fight in Bosnia and stuff. I didn't even know what was going on. What are you on about? I just want to play football. But all this time, this thing about being black has confused me a little bit. Or maybe more so now, because in those days, there were certain... You knew what the cultures were. White people were white people, no matter what the hair and eye colours were. There were black people and half-caste people. There were Indians, Pakistani, Bengali, Sikhs, Hindus, Chinese, not Japanese, Chinese, Italians, Greeks, and Jews. And that's pretty much it. And that was the mix. And you knew who was who. You could tell someone was a mongrel to them. So that sort of thing like my mixture. You'd know what I was by my blue eyes. You saw, yeah. I could go to any city in the UK where there's breeds there and mongrels and black people, and they'd know what I was straight away. You say blood, bam, touch me. They'd know what I was straight away because of my eyes and maybe a little thing about me. They could just tell straight away what I was. But that's been taken away from me now, because it's like with all the Romanian boys and some Ukrainians and Africans as well, and I mean all the other mixtures that have come into the UK, no one knows what I am no more. And I know what I mean. I know what I mean. But recently, there's been an African guy giving me a hard time. And what he's been doing is pulling out the race card, saying that I've been calling him names and stuff, racist names. Total lies. But where I live in the south, there ain't no West Indian community here, no culture. There's no like old history like where I'm from there is. There's no hoods or out. So the Africans are the black people here. And the white people don't say a thing to them. So if the black person wants to pull the card out on you, he'll pull it out on you. And me being a breed, he knows what I am. But where he's from, they see me as devil. I'm like the worst thing that could be. They want purity. If you're white, you're white. If you're black with them, right? They might say different things to half-caste people with kinky hair, but I don't have that. I'm like Cole Palmer or Ross Barkley or Ryan Giggs or Andrew Tate. I'm one of them. Or Ethan Ampadu. I'm one of them. And you all know what I mean. If you're from the cities, you'll know what I'm talking about. But African people keep zoning in on me for some reason, and I don't know why. But white people don't seem to understand. And it's like, if this was where I'm from, West Indian people would call it out. They'd say, hold on a second, yo, regardless of anything, we know what he is. They'd say something, one or two people would say something. But African dudes be taking the fucking piss, mate. And it's not right. Because if you don't know the breeds and cultures and mixtures of British people, and you're in Britain, then you need to sort your education out. The north is different to the south. People from the north aren't all racists. That's what I think African people think in the south. They think that northerners As soon as they hear a northern accent, I don't mean all Africans, by the way, yeah, I'm on about certain ones, right? They think a northern accent means you're from those racist areas. But in the UK, the original black areas and the hoods, other than London, are where I'm from, which is Leeds, Bradford, Huddersfield, Manchester, Liverpool, Nottingham, Sheffield. That's north. I'm confused, mate, because I thought everyone knew that. But in the south, they don't. And it's left me in a situation where I'm wide open to police, wide open to landlord, wide open to council accusations, just because someone can pull the card out. And it's like, I ain't got no one to support me on this matter. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. So listen, right? If you think it's funny to pull the race card out on someone when you've lied about it in the first place, then you are broken Britain. You are the worst of the worst. You are not a man. You're not. You're the same as... You're a rapist, basically. That's what you are, mate. You changed that O for an A. You're a rapist. Because I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that to anyone. I can't tell a lie about someone like that. I can't do that. But it seems to be something that I've found more than once that Africans pull. And I ain't cool with it. So I'm just curious and just wondering if any, normal dudes out there, African, West Indian, white, whatever the frig, yeah, can be like, yo, we know it's a card that we have exclusive to us and we shouldn't be abusing it. Because you need to know that whatever the old ways were of the old country and that, you're not in the old country, you're in the new country. You're in the new country where there's a lot of mixture and a lot of breeds, yeah? And you can't win a war, win an argument and cheat by pulling the card out like that. It's been done to me and it completely messed my life up. It's completely messed my life up. I've got police constantly on my case. The landlord constantly trying to throw an injunction on me, get me evicted. And worse stuff as well than that. More stuff than that. All because people are so woke these days that they can't even see what's in front of them. Because they don't know what's in front of them. Because a lot of people in the positions are too young to hold a position. You need people who are older, who know the breeds, know the mixtures, who've been and travelled around the country and seen how the differences and where they are in different places to correlate that, evolutions are going on basically, and people are different, and you can't start pulling cards out on people and ruining the frigging lives. It's a bit of a muddle, this video, but I'm going to stick with it because what I've said is true, and it breaks my flipping heart, man. Anyway, guys, listen, thanks for taking the time, alright? You take it easy. Peace and love. Ciao.